Hello and welcome to another video by Simply English at mysimplyenglish.com. Today is election day here in the United States, so I thought we would talk a little bit about how a person becomes the president in the United States. So let's take a look. Now, becoming the president in the United States is a very complicated process, long and complicated process, but we will talk about it briefly and as simply as possible. Let's start with who can be president of the United States. Any person who is a natural-born citizen, which means an American citizen from birth, at least 35 years old, 35 or more years old, and has lived in the United States for at least 14 years, can be president of the United States. That's all it takes. An American citizen from birth, which means they had to be born in an American territory, or to American parents, is at least 35 years old and has lived in the United States for at least 14 years. It does not matter the color of their skin, their economic background, education background, religious beliefs. None of that matters as long as they are a natural-born citizen, 35 years old or more, and have lived in the United States for at least 14 years. Okay, that's very important. Next, who chooses the president? Well, in many countries, the president or the leader of that country could be chosen by birth, born to be the leader, or chosen by a select few at the top of the government. But in the United States, it is the people of the United States who choose the president through voting. And voting means to give one's opinion on a decision being made. In this case, the decision is who should be president of the United States. And the people of the United States go to the polling stations and give their opinion by voting on who they think should be president of the United States. And so who can vote? Who are these people that can go to these polling stations and give their opinion? Well, according to the Constitution, any American citizen over the age of 18 with a residence in one of the 50 United States or the District of Columbia can vote in the presidential election. Now, it doesn't matter if they work or are in the United States at the time of the election. For instance, we have one astronaut who is in space and was able to vote for the president because he is a citizen, he is over the age of 18, and he has a residence or a home in the United States, so he can vote through what's called an absentee ballot from space. And so any person in the world, as long as they're an American citizen and follow all the rules, okay? There are some exceptions in some states for convicted criminals. Some states do not allow any criminal who has been convicted to vote, but that is just a few exceptions, okay? Next, those votes are counted in each state. In the state that that person or those people live, the votes are counted, and in each state, in this case, I'm from Texas. Once the votes are counted, whichever candidate, whichever person running for president has the most votes in that state will win, in most cases, all of the electoral votes from that state. Okay, so the electoral votes are divided among the states based on their population. A state with a bigger population, such as California here, will have more votes than a state with a smaller population, such as Alaska. But all states will get at least 3 electoral votes, at least. Now, in total, there will be 538 votes divided among the states. And to win, a candidate just has to get a simple majority of 270 votes. If one of the candidates meets or exceeds 270 electoral votes, they are the winner. And the other candidate or candidates, if there are more than 2, will lose that election. In this election, in 2016, we have 4 candidates running for president. The Democratic Party The Republican Party, Libertarian Party, and Green Party are the four parties running for presidency in this election. Now, we tend to talk only about the two biggest parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, but there can be more than two parties running in a presidential election and have been almost every election. Now, how long can a person be president? Well, a person can be elected president for no more than 2 terms, and 1 term equals 4 years, so that is a total of 8 years. Now, this is a relatively recent rule. In less than 100 years ago, it was enacted by Congress. Before that, the last president that we had that was elected for more than 2 terms was Franklin Roosevelt, who was president for 12 years and elected 4 terms from 1933 to 1945. Now, although he was elected for 4 terms, which would equal 16 years, he died in office in the year 1945, so he only served for a little bit more than 12 years. Now, President Barack Obama, our current president, has served for 2 terms, 8 years total, from 2008 to 2016. He's still serving today, and he won't be eligible to run for president ever again in his lifetime because he has already been elected for 2 terms. Okay. Now, there's another exception where some presidents have been president for 10 years, but only elected for 8. And we'll maybe talk about that in another video. Okay. So what makes democracy great? Why is this such a good thing to us Americans? Well, we believe that it's such a great thing because we have the right to express our opinions and vote without the fear of persecution, being thrown in jail, or being killed, which is a fear that many people really do have throughout the world in many other countries. Not every country, but in many countries throughout the world, there is a fear that if you express your opinion, if your opinion is different than your government's, that you may be persecuted or thrown in jail or even killed. And that's something that's very serious. But here in America, we do have the right to express ourselves, express our opinions without that fear. And it's because of this right to express our opinions and the diversity of our people that gives us a diversity of opinions. This diversity of opinions and free speech allows us to discuss the problems that we face, to argue and discuss these problems. And those results, and that results in a multitude of possible answers from which we may find the solution or solutions to those many problems that we face. So it's this discussion, it's the diversity of our people and our opinions that allow us to discuss, argue, and then push forward and innovate and face those problems from multiple views. And with those multiple views, with that diversity, we can come to a conclusion and find the best possible solution. Okay. And lastly, because of this democracy, we feel that we are all equal in our right to speak and give our opinion. It does not matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how wealthy or poor you may be. It doesn't matter the color of your skin or your gender. As long as you are a human being, we consider you to be equal to any other human being. And we give you that right to speak and give your opinion on any subject. As long as you do not hurt any other person or threaten to kill another person, you have the right to speak and express your opinion. You could even say that you hate America and that you don't like the president and you hate democracy. That's okay. You have the right to say anything that you wish, as long as you do not threaten to hurt any other person. Okay? There is a woman, a British woman named Evelyn Beatrice Hall, who wrote a book about Voltaire. And in this book, she wrote, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." And this is something that holds very true in the hearts of Americans, that we may disagree with what you say. We may not agree with what you say, but we will defend to the death your right to say it. We'll defend your right to say that, whatever it might be. Okay? And that is what makes democracy great, in our opinion. So I want to thank you for watching. I hope this helps give you a little insight into the American election. We didn't go into a lot of detail, and there is a lot more to be covered, but I hope that this helps give you a little bit of a view of what makes the United States, at least in our opinion, such a great nation.